number one, I'd like to, we're excited about our class. Just like to thank all the people. There's a lot that goes into a recruiting class, from the coaches to the secretaries to the support staff, especially our players. You know, the one thing about the biggest recruiters we have are when kids come on campus and they get the opportunity to spend time with our players, and they're the ones that really sell Marshall University in order for us to get the kind of class we've had. We've met our needs. You know, every time you go into a recruiting class, you work to make sure you meet your needs in all areas. Felt like we did that. Again, I'm really excited about it. I like the way we finished, and looking forward to seeing these guys sometime this summer or August.
How much do you think 43-5 in 2 years, 13-1 this year, national ranking, another bowl win, conference game, made a difference?
I think it made a difference. You know, we went head-to-head with some Power 5 schools, so-called Power 5 schools, and beat them. And you know, I think number one, I think the facilities, Jack. Anytime they come on campus now, they're going to see the nicest indoor facility in the country. The Hall of Fame is now, we can actually take those kids into the Hall of Fame. They can see all the great players that have come through here. The academic center doesn't have quite everything in it yet, but they can get up there and see it. And again, that sports medicine transition center is unbelievable. So, you know, you know, couple of things. You know, we talk all the time about kids buy with their eyes. Well, they come in here to see great facilities, but there's also they want to play for championships. You know, and they want to win championships, which now we got not only the facilities, but we've proven that we're going to play for championships and we're going to compete every year. And we also can win and going to bowl games. I mean, we won, you know, we've been to 3 bowls in the last 4 years and won all 3 of them. So all those things combined with the exposure we got from this year with the all access with ESPN and everything that went along with it, all plays a part, you know, in the recruiting process.
You did a little less convincing than you maybe had to do when you first got here. People obviously know the brand.
I think there's always a lot of convincing. Probably we're recruiting a little bit more of a high caliber guy. So, you know, we're going up against schools that are a little different than what they were when I first got here. So, you know, I don't think that ever changes. You know, you gotta, you know, it's always, again, our coaches and players did a tremendous job once we got them on campus, and of course our coaches did a great job of getting them here. But it's exciting. You know, you can walk in about any home right now and compete against a lot of really good teams, and that makes it a lot of fun.
How much of a difference in reaction from these guys have you seen when they now look at that indoor facility as opposed to when that facility wasn't here?
Well, there's no question. I mean, you know, prior to, you know, this past year, I mean, all we had was the Shuey building, and we didn't tell them about it. We had to go out and practice for bowl games. They had to shovel snow, so but now it's great. I mean, you know, and it was kind of neat to, you know, we had our biggest weekend this past weekend, and we walked in there and that track meet was going on, and here's, you know, thousands of kids running around and you know, running the track meets and the excitement, and they walk down there. They walk down. You know, we house our recruits at the Holiday Inn downtown. They get down there, and there's all these athletes that are down there, you know, competing, and the town's buzzing, and all that contributes to, you know, a successful recruiting year. Because you never know, you know, what makes a difference in a kid making a decision, but you know, people around and a lot of things, the facilities and all that go into it. But it's been all that's helped us. There's no question.
You went a little heavy on wide receivers. You want to talk about that?
Well, a lot of those guys can play a lot of positions. If you notice, a lot of those guys are, some of them are 6'6", 6'4", 6'5" guys that are 200-plus pounds, and they can play other positions too. So they're just very athletic guys that I did tell Mike earlier in the day I'm going to have to recruit a receiver for another 2 years now. So, but those guys can play a lot of places, and when you watch the tape, if you haven't seen them, they're very athletic, and they can play. A lot of them can play a lot of places.
How important is it to bring in, you know, new receivers to push some of those younger guys? Those younger guys say, "All right, it's our time. We got some playing time last year." This gives them a lot of competition going into this.
Well, there's competition. We have competition about every position now. If those young guys think they've arrived, they'll be sitting over there watching. I promise you that they haven't. And but there's no doubt that anytime you can add quality players to every position, it helps your football team, because, you know, we take great pride. Our practice is harder than the games. You know, we want to go out there and compete every day in practice, so when the games roll around, the games are easy. That's what we try to get done. And by adding the talent that we have, they either got to compete and go extremely hard in practice, they won't play.
People ask, how many receivers do you need to be ready to play? 8, 10?
Well, I mean, I think last year, you know, I don't know exactly, Doug, to be honest, but, you know, we're at least, I would say that the outside receiver, we played at least 6, and inside we probably played 3, which was a total of 9. But, again, some of those guys we have coming in can play other positions, so we'll see where that goes. But, you know, I like really good players that can stretch the field, that can run. and also have some size. If you look at this class, they've all got that.
Hit another big call in Florida again. Was it a matter of, okay, let me go back to Florida and see what I can find, or is it just by luck or chance that this year you had a lot of guys from Florida that you were looking at and you wanted to bring in?
Well, I think Sean, Alex, and Adam did a tremendous job down there, number one. But we've always been extremely heavy as far as recruiting down there goes, and it just so happened that this year, we were looking at DBs, we were looking at linebackers, and some of those kids, a lot of those kids met. You know what? We went down there and won twice in Florida this year. The guys had the opportunity to see us play. Of course, played a bowl game down there. It didn't hurt us as far as exposure is concerned. So, I think I think now we have 33 kids from down there, I think is what our total is with this class. So, just the numbers, when those kids come up here, they feel comfortable. We had a lot of them here last weekend that got around the Leggetts and Baxters and all those guys and felt at home. And also Georgia, same thing with Georgia and Georgia kids and right on down the line.
How much fun is it for you whenever you can walk into a living room of a kid like Antonio Howard and know his family? I mean, you recruited, this is second generation recruiting for you.
Well, I feel old. I know that. When you're recruiting the kids of the kids you recruited, and you're getting up there a little bit. But you know what? Antonio Brown, the dad, was he's like a son to me. He was a guy that I recruited a long time ago, and came from a very, very tough situation. Graduated, played 4 years in the NFL, and him and I talk all the time. And he's just a tremendous kid that's got out of, similar to the situation to Cato. I mean, he's got out of, he's been very successful in business, and he's coaching football down there right now, and he's a great kid. But it meant a lot to me to be able to go in there and recruit his kids, because number one, I know they come from great stock. They're really good players, and to have Antonio have the kind of confidence in me, 18, 20 years later, whatever it is, then it means a lot to me.
Specifically with Miami Central, when you brought a couple of those in again, when you talk to them, do they bring up Cato?
Cato and Schuler are a legend down there right now. I mean, they are. I mean, you walk into that school, and as many players as they've had them at Florida States and Floridas and Miamis and everywhere. And then they got 6 or 8 or 10 or go every year. You mentioned the ones they talk about are Cato and Schuler. I mean, those are two guys that may at someday probably be in the College Football Hall of Fame with what they've done, what they've accomplished. And but they're legends at that particular school. But the great thing is those kids have come up here and been extremely successful. And those coaches know us. Roland Smith's a good friend of ours, Alex and myself, and he knows if those kids from Central come up here that we're going to take care of them, just like we took care of Cato and Schuler and all the rest of them. So, there's a lot of coaches. What's great about being able to recruit that Florida area is we have a track record of kids, not only Florida but Georgia now and other areas, that they come here and they're very successful. They do a great job academically, and they perform at the highest level. And that's what the families are looking for.
With Antonio and Semino, do you think you might start seeing some more of that? I mean, you have so many guys you've coached in so many places that now you're a head coach and they're having kids at this age too. Do you feel that you might see more of that?
I hope so. I mean, it makes it a little easier when you know them. It makes it easier at times, but yeah, we'll see. I hope so. I hope so.
Yeah, the landscape of college football obviously has shifted a little bit. We're in the P5, G5 era now, and the P5 schools are on the verge of doing things differently, making their own rules. Do you sense any change in the recruiting?
Well, some people have tried to use that against us, but Mike Hamrick and Conference USA has made a commitment to we're going to do that. The cost of attendance, or we're going to do that at Marshall. I mean, they talk about meals, and we've already done that. I mean, we're getting unlimited meals through the weight room. So, I get these P5 schools go in there and tell these kids how much different they are at Marshall. You need to come here because of meals and cost of attendance and all that. Well, hell, we're doing it. So we make it very clear to these guys when they start getting after us a little bit as far as you can get so much more at a P5 school. No, you can't. You can come to Marshall and have better facilities. You can play for championships. You get the same thing that you can get at their place. So we hit that head on. I mean, we start from the get-go. Here's what you're going to hear, from these particular schools. But do your research. It's not true.
Yeah, you've got the set of cousins in this class too. Ty Tyler had been committed for a good while, I bet. But
Yeah.
Were you aware of the cousin?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, we're aware of that. And the grandmother runs the show. I mean, that's a tremendous family, and there's some issues. Those kids are great kids that are raised by their grandmother, and it's an interesting household. I mean, there's been Bellamy that played at Clemson, came out of that house, and that's a bunch of really good players that have come out of that area, and those two kids are good players that we're glad we have. I think the linebacker, I know Trey's going to bring some maturity like Neville did. You know, he's a great kid, extremely tough, physical guy that can, you know, provide hopefully some leadership for that defense.
You were able to get that nice little three-star recruit, right, and that job in Spring Valley, and now it's Lockyer. You know, how nice was that?
Oh, it's, I mean, you know, I'd like to have a whole team full of West Virginia players. And you know, if you look at our team a year ago, we had a lot of them from Raheem Waiters to Cheese to, you know, Van Horn. You know, a lot of them play significant roles, and Cody Carter, I mean, plays a significant role in special teams. So, you know, West Virginia kids have been, and we've had coaches out in West Virginia the last 2 weeks. I had a guy out there, that's all he did last week. So we're looking for players. My deal is this: if they're good enough to win a conference championship, we're going to recruit them. If they're not, we're not, because that's our goal, and that's where we want to go. That's where we want to be, and we're going to recruit guys that are, and Alex is. And there'll be a couple guys down the road that are, but we're going to take guys that have the ability and the want to go win a conference championship and play for it every year. If they've got that, then we'll recruit them. If they don't, we're going to go somewhere else.
It's a unique situation whenever, you know, Coach Harley goes toward the right middle of things, and he's your recruiting coordinator. It seems like, you know, looking at this list, Alex Mirabal steps up, and you've got here recruits from him. Is he as tenacious of a recruiter as what he is an offensive line coach?
He is. They all are. I mean, I got tremendous staff, and you know, and they all understand that it's a personnel-driven game, and we recruit every day. If you don't recruit every day, then you're getting behind. So, you know, our guys understand that. They understand that every day you walk in, the first thing we do at a staff meeting every day, in season, out of season, whatever, is start writing handwritten notes, and that's what our meeting starts with, is recruiting. So that won't change, and it doesn't matter who that recruiting coordinator. It's what we do. It's what we do here at Marshall. It's the plan we have in place, and the plan won't change because it works.
Who served as recruiting coordinator?
Say it again.
Who stepped up as recruiting coordinator?
Well, I mean, you know, you have Aaron Hill, who's in the recruiting office, and he does all the organizational part of it. He organizes the weekends. You know, he kind of sets. But that's kind of what that's why that position's in place. That the guy actually named as recruiting coordinator. All he does is kind of oversee it to make sure everything's getting done right. But the plan's the plan. And whether it's the next guy, I guarantee it ain't going to be any different. Whoever they're going to do what I want to do and what we're going to do, because we know what it takes to recruit really good players, and that won't change.
Is there a point during the recruiting season where having that guy to oversee it is more important, whether it's to start it out, say like tomorrow, or to see it through, say like over the last week?
No, I mean, I don't think so. I mean, I think, like I say, Aaron, I mean, Todd, I mean, you know, and Todd did a tremendous job. I mean, I love Todd, and he did a tremendous job, but Todd goes out the door, we're not going to miss a beat, you know, because Aaron knows what we want, and Aaron will get it done. I mean, he understands what has to happen there, so the next guy comes in, and it won't be any different.
Because you had to do this 2 years ago, I think.
Yeah.
Just kind of same deal.
And we didn't.
And you guys are able to kind of roll with it.
And that won't change. I mean, it's just the way it is.
You talked about before the star system, and I think Doug pointed out how many different guys, Devin Johnson's two-star, Gator, two-star. Do you almost kind of chuckle at how they rate guys?
I do. You know, I do. I look at that. I'm not, because I don't pay a whole lot of attention to it, but, you know, there's been a lot. I mean, Cato, I think, was Cato a two-star, or was he even ranked? Tommy, I teased him for 4 years. I don't think he had a star, you know, so. You know, that being said, I mean, you talk Devin Johnson, Jaspers was a walk-on, played the Senior Bowl, and is probably going to have a shot at getting drafted. So, you know, you look at that, you look at those Super Bowls, and you look at the starting lineups, and heck, the guy that won the game was a guy from West Alabama. I'm sure had no stars. You know, so that's all. Probably wasn't even database. I mean, that bottom line is, I mean, those guys make a lot of money on that, and I guess it's a good thing to talk about today. And but that being said, that makes no difference. I guarantee you turn this film, you watch these kids we got coming in here, a lot of them are 2 stars. They're not 2 stars in my mind. I mean, you watch them, they could play at Florida, or they could play anywhere I've ever been. And that's just the way it works. And, you know, a lot of people, and you know what, in the coaches and the programs that get hung up in stars, they don't last very long. That coach is probably fired sooner or later, because if you base everything on stars and don't do a great job of evaluating talent, chances are you're not going to be there very long.
Are there any positions in which you feel like there are guys that have a real good chance of coming in and making an immediate impact? I think cornerbacks, places like that, where it might need some
That's easier to play there, Grant, you know, at corner. And, you know, I sat here this time last year, and if you had told me Yurachek would have had the kind of year he had, I thought Yurachek could be redshirted. I felt like he was a ways away. And he came back and played by the end of the year, may have been the best tight end we had. I mean, so, you know, we had a really good football team coming back this time last year. And if you would have said we had 11 freshmen that played, I would have said that's no way. It's not going to happen. But you just never know. You know, kids develop at different speeds. And I'll tell you the one thing I think has helped us is we got a lot of kids on campus already. So those kids are in, you know, skill development twice a week. They're in mat drills this morning. And they get coached a lot, which has changed the rules where we can now coach them throughout the summer in skill development, that kind of thing. So I think the Yuracheks and the Skip Rose and you know, those young kids, they develop a little quicker because of what we're able to do now.
I can't help but look at Channing Hames' size, 6'5", 255 coming in. You know, it's a big body defensive end that, you know, there have been some smaller guys that have ended up beefing up along the way, but I don't know if everyone that's come in that big.
He's a great-looking kid that's extremely athletic, and he's going to be a really good player. He may end up inside because he's going to be 300 pounds, but he was standing beside J.C. yesterday, or the day he was in here, and he dwarfs J.C., and J.C.'s a big man, played a while in the NFL, so. You know, you like it when your D-line coaches are smaller than the guys you got playing, and he helps that out a little bit.
You see more guys from the other coast of Florida, from like Southwest Florida, Charlotte, Punta Gorda, and Fort Myers, and Tampa Bay. I mean, you've always been so strong in Dayton, Broward, and Palm Beach. I mean, how do you feel that things are going kind of in the other part of the state? Because that seems to Adams really done good.
Adams did a tremendous job of getting in there, and you know, from Chase Litton to all those kids, to Tyler guys down there in you know, Arcadia or Punta Gorda. You know, we've gotten some inroads. You know, our inroads in Miami are pretty strong. I mean, we can go into Miami and South Florida and hopefully get 2 or 3 kids every year. But that Punta Gorda, that west coast of Florida, Tampa, Orlando, is starting to be. And of course, Lakeland's always been good now. It's from Darryl Roberts and Stu and all those guys out of Lakeland. You know, Kendall Gant, Remy Watson. That Lakeland area has been good to us for the last 4 or 5 years. But it seems like we're getting in a little bit better job. We're doing a better job in Tampa. In the Fort Myers, you know, Sam Sirianni's a West Virginia guy from Sammy's down there. His son, that was from Clarksburg family, are in that Fort Myers area. Of course, Sammy Sr. died recently, and the mom was a cheerleader here at Marshall, so we got a lot of ties down there with that area that we got some kids.
For a position, you feel dang on, I like 1 or 2 more of those in this class?
I like them all. I'd like to have 1 or 2 more of every one of them, but you can't do that because of the initials. But no, I don't think so, Doug. You know, we got numbers set at every position. You know, for example, we want 16 offensive linemen. That's what we want every year. So if 3 graduate, you take 3 the following year. So we're right at 16. You know, you want X number of corners. You want 8 corners on your team. You know, right now we're at 8. You know what I mean? So safeties, you want a certain number. The backers, you want 12 total. You know, I think we're 1 under there, but because we play so much nickel, you know, we can play with that a little bit. So we know exactly what we want at every position, and by the time camp rolls around, you know, we'll be at 85, and we'll be right on, for the most part, at every number.
So just with Delvin coming in as like the lone running back in the class, I mean, you already have a good, big group in that room already.
Right. So, I mean, like I say, by August, we'll probably go maybe 1 over at running back, to be honest, but that's okay.
Are there any of these players that you have identified that's surefire starters in the future?
No, hell no. They got a lot of work. They got to come in and play on special teams and earn our trust. No. I mean, you hope everyone you recruit at some point when you recruit him, you say, you know what, at some point this kid's going to be a starter, or you wouldn't recruit him. But to come in from day one and be a starter, I mean, I don't think so. We got some really good football players here right now that. If that happens, we haven't done a very good job the last 3 or 4 years at different positions.
The freshmen do play. How much of that has that grown as a benefit on the recruiting trail to show these guys that, yes, we bring in guys that have the opportunity to play because they're good enough. And if you're good enough, you can join them too.
Every kid you have, every kid you recruit wants to come in and play early. But you know what, you play. I played 11 of them last year. You know, I mean, I played 11 freshmen. So if you're good enough, you got the opportunity to come in and play. But And you know what, there'll be freshman play this year. You never have enough players, and especially when you get into the special team part of it. You get in a little later in the season, and you get some injuries and that kind of thing, it's important that you play young guys early and often as you can, so when the time comes, Husky, for example, you know, Husky didn't play hardly any defense all year, and his number was called in the championship game, and maybe in the MVP of that game. Had 8 tackles, 2 sacks, and a couple TFLs. So it's good to get those young kids in and gain their trust on special teams, so at some point during the season, you're going to need them and they're ready to go.
Coach, was there anybody in particular that was more of a challenge maybe to get, or competition from other schools, or anybody out of this group?
I mean, we had several. I mean, I think Doyle Grimes committed, decommitted, and committed back, and there's been several of them. So that happens. I mean, you watch it. I mean, it's crazy out there. I mean, everybody's, you get excited about flips, and you know, I don't concern about all that. You know what? At the end of the day, it's who you got, and if you lose a kid to somebody else, congratulate them, let them move on, because you know what? Sooner or later, you got to walk back in that school, or sooner or later, you never know what's going to happen to that kid. You know, if I would have got upset with Doyle Grimes because he decommitted from us and not handled it the right way, chances are when I went back down to home, I wouldn't have got him last week. You know, so you just gotta, you love them up and you recruit the heck out of them and stay positive, whether it be the coaches. There's every year you lose somebody. I mean, anybody thinks it gets all upset because somebody goes somewhere else, then chances are they haven't been in this business long enough, they don't know what they're doing, because it's going to hurt you in the long run. I mean, if you handle things the wrong way in this business recruiting, it's going to come back and bite you. And that should never happen. I talk to my coach about that all the time, that you better handle things the right way. If a coach tells you he's going somewhere else, well, hey, it's great. But you know what? You got to walk back in that school the next year, and they're going to have players. So you just stay positive, and at the end of the day, you'll get your numbers, and that's just the way it operates. It happens like it all the time. Kids are amazing these days. I mean, it's crazy. It really is.
How difficult is it to be patient? You're almost adrenaline is running because you all are getting down to the nitty gritty with signing day, and you all are amped, the kids are amped, obviously, and these are 17-year-old kids, 17, 18-year-olds making the biggest decisions of their lives. That you sort of have to take a step back at times and sort of just let it come and not get too overblown with the situation.
You know I'm really patient too, you know that, right? It's just, I mean, it's hard. It really, you know, it's hard, but you know what? These kids that make these decisions, it is biggest. There's 2 things, I tell them all the time, the 2 biggest decisions you make in your life is where you go to school and who you're going to marry. You can't screw up either one of them, you know? So, you know, that being said, this next 4 years, wherever they go, is going to affect their next 50, you know? So it is a big decision for them, and you know, you got to give them a little space and do the best job you can of selling your school, and end of the day, hopefully if you get more than you lose, then you're okay.
Just wondering, where did you sleep last night and how long?
That's none of your damn business, Mike.
I
was at my home. I was at my home, and you know what? I had a couple text messages. I think it was about 1 a.m. this morning. So I probably did. I don't sleep much anyway. So I think I did get a couple hours. That's about normal. So, but it's all good. I was. Huh?
Better question, was coffee in hand by about 3:45?
Well, we had workouts at 5:30, so I was on my way here about 3:15. Yeah.
I've known you sleep overnight in your office.
Anything else? Well, hey, guys, appreciate you. Thanks. Have a great day now.